Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be talking about my journal system and some changes that I'll be making. It's around the middle of the year and it's the perfect time for me to reassess my system, figure out what's working for me and what isn't, and share with you all what I'll be doing for the latter half of 2023. I have 5 journals here today, and I'll be talking through each one and how I'm using it currently and if I'm making any changes to it or swapping it out as we move along. I'm going to move this over to the side and talk about my 5-year journal first. This one is pretty self-explanatory. It's the Hobonichi Techo 5-year from 2023 to 2027. I got it last year for myself and started using it in January. So this one gives me the space to write at least a few lines for every single day, and I'll be able to do that for the next 5 years, which is amazing. And I have this beautiful cover for it as well. Even when I miss a day or two or a week or two, I still come back to it and make sure that I backfill it and fill in all the days and things that I've been doing. So I have been keeping up with it, but I haven't been doing it every single day consistently, which is okay. As long as I'm filling it in, that's fine. I love trying out the new inks that I put into my pens because I find that on this beautiful Tomoe river paper, the ink really just shines, figuratively and literally. And it's always fun to see what kind of ink properties I can bring out of the ink while writing in this journal. So this one I will be keeping the same. I'm a few days behind because today is the 23rd, but I'll be filling that in later today. And I will continue with this one and it'll be a mainstay in my journal system probably for the next 5 years. So that one is pretty straightforward. And the cover I also got from Hobonichi is absolutely beautiful. It's their undyed leather. I do have a few stains on it already, but that's just the nature of using a journal and loving it and handling it almost every day. So that's perfectly okay. Now we come to my traveler's notebook. And this one I've felt a little bit guilty about because I haven't been using it a ton. Right now I do have a blank insert. This is the extra lightweight paper insert that I haven't started yet. And I was using another just plain insert, the one that comes with the journal when you buy it, to do some planning and just really high level like weekly spreads. But also last year I was using it as a daily journal to make sure that buying a 5-year journal was actually something that worked for me. If you want to see more of a flip through, I do have one where this one and my Leuchtturm is in it if you want to see more of these spreads. But I also use this for my swap journals, which are the same size as the TN inserts that Emma and Olivia and I share. So anytime I get one of those in the mail and I'm working through them, I do put it in this cover. And something else I want to do is start using this as my memory keeping journal. So right now I have everything sort of in my Leuchtturm, and while that has been sort of working for me, I find when I have too much stuff all together, it's hard to find what I'm looking for. So for this one, the lightweight paper will be my memory keeping journal, and there's so many pages in it, so this will last me a while. And when I want to just look back on happy memories and things that I want to remember, this will be a great place for it when my 5-year doesn't have enough space to hold things, and I can do collages, I can add in photos and things like that into these pages as well. So that will be a great addition. One more change and addition I want to make to my TN setup is actually adding a watercolor insert, which I recently purchased from the new Toronto pen shop that's located in the Distillery District. I went there and visited and checked out the new shop, and the owner, Nelmar, is so wonderful and lovely, and we chatted about stationery and pens and whatnot, and he actually carries traveler's notebooks. So I haven't seen the watercolor paper in too many places that I visited, and I thought it would be a great way for me to have something easily accessible where I can start practicing my gouache and watercolor skills that I've been sort of neglecting recently, and sort of rediscover that hobby. And keeping it together with my other journals, I think, will be a great way of reminding myself to use it, and also making it super easy to just pull it off the shelf and use it whenever I feel like it. So I will be adding this one to the setup, just like that. It's a little chunky right now, which is perfectly fine, but that's another change that I'll be making for the rest of 2023. The next one, of course, which is a darling of this channel, is my travel journal. As we've all seen, I've used this travel journal since last year, and I'll continue to use it this year. I have a couple of travel journal videos if you'd like to see more or hear me talk more about them. But these pages, I never get tired of flipping through them, honestly. And I have a couple more trips planned this year that I'll be filling in these spreads with. The last one I have here is in May, when a couple of my friends came to visit me, and I'm about halfway through the journal. So that means I'll have quite a few more pages to fill in toward the rest of the year. And after that, I'll have to see which journal becomes my travel journal. But in terms of my setup, this one is pretty much staying as is as well. The next one I want to talk about is actually a repurposed journal. I try to repurpose journals if I don't finish them and use them for other purposes, so that I don't have just a bunch of half-filled journals lying around. This one is a Moleskine, I believe it's a B6 size or similar. And I started using this one as a memory keeping journal at the beginning of the year. You might have seen my quick reel about all the different collages I was doing. This one's really interesting because the left side of the page is completely blank and the right side is lined. So it was perfect for me to do a little bit of a collage and then write about my day. I really liked how this was turning out, and sometimes I'd be really simple with it and just paste something in. Sometimes it would be a little bit more elaborate. It was a good amount of space, and I was able to use the whole page for memory keeping. Actually, I think this was, I'm lying. This was actually in 2022 that I was using it. So I started using this as a memory keeping journal then, and from there, I really liked how it was working out for me, except I found that the paper in the Moleskine wasn't super fountain pen friendly. And the reason why I started switching to these full page collages was because the writing was going through the page and bleeding through really badly. This one is not too bad because it's a lighter color, but these darker colors would show through so terribly and bleed through that it basically made the left side almost completely unusable unless I collaged over the entire page. So that started to get old really fast, and it made me sad, and it made me not want to write in it. So after that, I decided to use a different journal, my Leuchtturm, for my sort of memory keeping and daily journaling. I even abandoned some older collages that I still really like, but just never got around to filling up. And instead, I've been using it as a log of stationery that I buy, so that when people ask me where I bought something or I want to remember where to repurchase, I have a log here of everything that I bought. So starting in September of last year and into this year as well, I've been logging when I buy things, what it is, where it's from, and maybe even a little sample to remind myself what it looks like. So when I got my Hobonichi Techo from Lei Wines here in Toronto, I inputted it here and have some stamps and whatnot that I've bought and washi tape and things like that. So this stuff I've been buying this year, and I'm going to continue logging my stationery purchases in this journal to use it up, because unfortunately it didn't work how I wanted it to. And finally, we come to my Leuchtturm. This is an A5, just with their dot grid paper. And I've been using this since April of last year. So it's been over a year that I've used this journal, and you might be surprised to hear that, but it actually does take me a while to fill up a journal. This one has been a long-standing piece in my collection and has quickly become just sort of a catch-all, commonplace everything journal. And the reason why I wanted to change things up was because I found that was too much for me. It is really nice to have one journal that I can just throw everything into. I don't have to think about which journal should this go in, or what am I feeling right now? Does it make sense to go into this insert or that journal? And I would include things like getting postcards from people and decorate the pages to do some long form journaling. I would rant. I would add in memories and ticket stubs and things like that. And it was great, but I really think I needed to separate it out because it became really hard to find anything and actually go back to read anything, because things that were hard to read, or I was ranting, or I just wanted to forget about, are spliced in between some really fun memories and things that I do want to look back on. And it means that I'm less likely to pick up this journal once it's completed and flip through it, which makes me sad. So I think that's why I'll be using this journal moving forward, just more for long form journaling, ranting, journal prompts, things like that, and keep the memory keeping to the TN so that I can have that separation. I do really love the A5. I love the paper. I'm a very long-standing Leuchtturm fan, so this is not really a surprise for me. I'm already almost finished. I have about 30 pages left at the end of this journal, and once I finish it, I'll likely be moving into another A5 Leuchtturm because it both fits in this cover and I just love their journals. That will be the last big change that I'm making, and I hope that it works out. I tried to make this more of a memory keeping journal originally, and it really didn't work out that way. So I think having a specific place for memory keeping and a place for everything else will be really helpful. It seems like a lot of journals, and I will acknowledge that it is, but I think because each one has a specific purpose and an intention, and there's a very clear separation between what I'm using everything for, I think it will work really well for me. I would be curious to know if you're using as many journals or maybe even more than I am, or what your setup sort of looks like, as well as any tips that you have. I haven't done such a full-scale reimagining of my system in a long time, so it was really nice to talk it through with you, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.